Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a update on the Virginia incident from the DNR agent, and I have a terrifying set of events out of a military base as well. Before we get into it, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and it matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's upload, shall we? I'd like to share an experience I had while training with my National Guard unit at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. I've really never been big into the paranormal as a subject of interest. I originally got into it by reading some of the more outlandish things online. But the deeper I dug, the more I found what seemed to be genuine people sharing real experiences. And that struck me as largely honest and earnest. So in that spirit, I'd like to share one of the few unexplainable instances that I've had happen in my life. Certainly the most significant. I am a member of the National Guard in Wisconsin. I moved from enlisted to officer via ROTC and was attached to a unit in my prospective MOS while I was in the program. I don't really want to give too many specifics on my service, as the community is small enough to identify me to my peers in the unlikely circumstance they are hearing this. In 2014, my platoon decided to conduct nighttime land navigation at Fort McCoy. From 2030 to 030, while the Army is typically all about battle buddies, land nav is one of the few cases we can do it solo if we choose. Having done night land nav plenty of times before, I stepped off alone, compass, map, and headlamp in hand. For those of you who do not know, land navigation involves seeking out markers on a course by plotting their coordinates on a map and moving there via terrain reference and compass. At night, this is typically done without light as much as possible. When the light is used, it is red. This minimizes damage to night vision. These methods also keep you concealed in a tactical environment when employed with noise discipline. I bring this up so you can understand a few things about my circumstance. I was moving through the woods while making a token effort to be hard to spot and hear. The woodland I was in is part of a larger forest system, but it's frequently traveled. That night we had some 15 soldiers clomping around. My illumination was a toggleable headlamp, but was toggled to be red when turned on. To cycle to white light, I had to turn it off twice. The cycle was off solid white, off flashing white, off solid red, off flashing red, off solid white. Now my assigned points will take me to the other side of the course and back. A good hour and a half of walking as the crow flies. They are more or less in a straight line, so I estimate 2.5 hours out and back, and I know if I come back too early, I may be given another set of points, so I resolve to walk around, take a break for an hour, and then mosey on back. The first half of this goes as planned. I get my points without much trouble and wind up sitting on a hillside at around 10 p.m. It's cloudy, but the moon is full. I can see wellish when the sky is clear, poorly when it is not. Occasionally, I see a red light bobbling in the distance below me. Once a pair of platoon members passed down the hill from me while using a white light to try to read their map. I startled them when I asked if they needed any help. At the end of my break, there was no more motion in the area. Most people had likely already walked out and back, or they were too lost and took the hand railing road home. I'm feeling pretty at one with my surroundings, having sat in the same spot eating stale Skittles for a good long while. Owls are hooting, trees are swaying, and all is well. I trot down the hill and step through some brush. I'm in a clearing where the prairie intersects the forest. There are some dead trees in the area, and one of them is split halfway up. At the top, 15 feet-ish, I can make out a head and shoulder silhouette against the cloud backlit by the moon. I walk up to ask how they got up there and see if they're stuck, when the shadow twitches and I get the impression it's turned toward me. I stand there looking at it, and maybe it's looking at me. The situation feels off, but I'm not going to let a battle buddy punk me. I ask if they need a hand. Mid-sentence, the moonlight comes back. It's clear the thing on the tall stump is definitely not a soldier. This moonlight glimpse is the best look I get at this thing. It looks like a stretched-out, bald person. Its long arms are clutching the stump. I can't make out a face, but it looks pinched. By that, I mean I couldn't see its eyes or mouth, like they were small and in the middle of its head. It's skinny, like it has not eaten, but it's tall and obviously strong to have made such a vertical climb. It was definitely facing me. It probably was the whole time I was in that clearing, maybe since I came down the hill. Maybe my speech was startling. I swear loudly. It rapidly scurries down the trunk. I flick on my red lamp. It catches it on all fours, moving toward the wood line in the direction that I'm heading. Automatically, I keep toggling the lamp to hit white light. That means it goes off, then flashes red. In the flash, I see the thing at the wood line. I think it's flipped around and is now backing in, probably keeping its eye on me. In the few seconds that it takes me to get it to white light, it is gone. I scan the tree line, which is now silent. When it moved there, it was a scraping noise, plus the woodland brush is dense. If it was running, I'd hear it. I reason that this thing must have stopped. It must still be watching me. I fumble out my knife and keep looking around the woods in front of me. After ages, I start inching along a perpendicular path to my initial route of travel, an angle that will link me up with the hardball road that runs up and down the side of the course. Once on that road, I can take it back to where my platoon is parked. My major problem is that road is 10 minutes of walking away from my current position, mostly woodland. That cannot be helped. I have to get out of this clearing first. My progress on that front is painfully slow. I'm fighting my natural urge to freeze in place like a deer in headlights. After sidestepping a good 10 meters, I hear a corresponding rustling, and I think I see movement. It's enough to get me to turn and bolt right into a downed log, which trips me up. I stumble up to my feet and look back at the wood line where there is an audible commotion. I glimpse a leg and an ass moving back into the woods. At this point, I'm done with this whole situation, but I don't want to run again. I start power walking to the road, turning to look as much as I can while seeing what this thing is doing. Over the movement of my own kit, I can hear it moving alongside of me, parallel. As I near the end of the clearing, I think I hear it picking up pace, as if it's going to cut me off. I made the decision to sprint. When I entered the woods, my path is clear, but I think I can hear it in my periphery. I don't stop, and I run as hard as I can until I hit paved road. I bit it hard a few times along the way, but I recovered with a frantic speed I cannot consciously replicate. Once on the road, I run perpendicular to the forest until I don't think I hear it anymore. I'm winded from my breakout run. From the middle of the road, I have very good visibility and decide to walk and catch my breath. It was quiet for a while, and then I hear a branch move around 30 feet in the air from the woods I had just fled. I snap my gaze up, and I see this pale, ovular face half in the shadows peeking at me from around the trunk, and I take off again. After way too long, I made it back to the headlights of our LMTVs. It's 12:15. What happened to you, cadet? Did you get lost out there? You're covered in mud. Did you fall down? Why are you out of breath? I got lost in my way back. Yes, I rolled down Pike Peak. I ran to get back in time. LOL, cadet was lost. I knew better to claim that I had seen a monster. Already my reaction had left me feeling foolish. Now, in the years since drilling at FMC, I've never experienced anything like that again. McCoy does not have a history of disappearances as far as I know. Neither do the closest towns, Sparta and Toma. I've done Nightland Nav alone a few times since without an issue. This is less from courage and more from me deciding I must have misinterpreted the situation. After diving into the paranormal, I'm coming around to the idea that I should trust my own account. Maybe the world is weirder than I thought. If anyone has had a similar experience elsewhere, or hopefully an explanation, please let me know. Today's second encounter coming out of Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. My mom is certain there is some kind of monster that resembles a werewolf in Camp Douglas, Fort McCoy region of Wisconsin. When the decade of the 90s came to a close, my mom and her boyfriend were traveling between Toma and Sparta on the frontage road that ran parallel to a highway. It was at night in the autumn when the moon was full view. I refer to it as frontage road, but due to the presence of trees, it is not often visible from the adjacent freeway. They see what they believe to be a very enormous guy emerge from the forest on all fours and make a successful jump over a chain link and barbed wire fence that surrounds the military installation. This walled-off area that is surrounded by a fence and has a sign indicating what it is for and whose army base it is part of has a stone entry wall. The monster jumps over the chain-link barbed wire fence and vanishes into the surrounding forest. It had ears similar to those of a human, but more like those of a dog. They don't stop, but when they see whatever it is, they stress out and ask the other passengers whether they saw it as well. Now, some 5 years later, my dad's cousin, who really never met my mom due to the fact the family is fractured, was telling me about a time him and his girlfriend had been driving on frontage road while traveling out to look at a house they were interested in buying. It was becoming dark during the winter nights. They were going quite near this stone entryway thing, and there is something perched over it. They slowed down to glance at it before continuing, and they claimed it to be a werewolf since it was perched on its haunches on this stone wall and entryway and staring directly at them. It seemed to be considering to chase them, as seen by the way its ears moved backward in a manner similar to that of a dog. His wife shouts, and he ignores her and continues driving. They continue on their way, never detouring to look at this house on the way back to the highway. Now, guys, what really gets under my skin is that these two sightings took place years apart, and a total of at least 6 adults witnessed it. Some of them, in my opinion, would absolutely adore being able to state they witnessed anything similar to this, but not all of them are as fantastical as this. In spite of this, when I needed to drive to Fort McCoy to obtain my CAC, and a group of us from my work got lost en route in this forested region, I couldn't help but peek into the trees just in case I spotted this creature in there. Alright guys, so the second half of the upload is going to be a update on what is going on in the Buchanan County region. I was able to speak with the DNR agent after I recorded last night's upload, and we ended up talking for, another 45 minutes. Very distraught man. I'm just going to call him Steve. That way I don't have to keep referring to him as DNR agent. Excuse me. So while Steve and I were talking, uh, he pretty much is at the point where he does not know what to do with his career anymore. This is a job that he's wanted since he was a teenager. He's in his mid 30s now, and he even said, if I move, I don't even want to be in this field of business anymore because of what I know now. Now, when he received a call to go on scene, he thought that it was going to be possibly another Dogman. He said it just like that. He goes, I thought it was going to be another one of those creatures. He said, I was good with that. Jeff, when I got there and I realized that there was a mother Dogman, a female Dogman, lying in a large pool of blood with 4 large bullet wounds in her. And I saw the pup with minimal blood pooling. He knew that that pup had been killed elsewhere. It was one shot in the head or face region. And he and I were talking, and he really feels like whoever was hunting this pair shot the young one first because it would kind of slow the mother down, put some confusion on the matter, and just to really kind of, I don't even know, slow her down. He immediately knew when he saw that the body had no blood pooling around it that it had been shot elsewhere. And the way he was talking at the end, Steve was really upset because he said, I know these things are not good. I don't know if they're evil or what. He said, I know they cause pain and suffering and death to humans, but he said to shoot a baby, and he said baby. He didn't say pup. He didn't say small. He said baby. Really affected him. And to know that mother Dogman carried that young for he doesn't know how far. It could have been a couple miles. He just has no idea. Or it could have been, 50 feet, wherever, but there was no blood on the scene from that pup. He looked around for a little bit after. But that showed compassion and love for their own. Now, where we hear that, we've heard that before from Luke, when Luke's father had been attacked and they remembered who he was. So, yeah, they do have a sense of compassion, a sense of camaraderie, family. But for Steve, it was too much to see. And then, and then for him to follow that train through Buchanan County from 638 to 460 to the Virginia-Kentucky border is just, you could tell he was very upset. I just realized I was having some mic issues. I apologize for that. So he's just super tore up about this. he stated that he didn't really have any bad goings on or, altercations with whoever the men are that picked these creatures up. But that the night or afternoon he was followed and he turned off at, I believe, Hardin, and they continued to go straight. He said my heart was pretty much in my throat. He said I didn't know what to think at the time. I didn't know if they saw me following the train or what. I'd like to clarify something. A subscriber reached out, and I thought I did say it in the video, but the train consisted of an engine and a couple of box cars. It was nothing else. And that's why when it was cutting through some forest regions that he couldn't see, he was afraid he was going to lose it. Like I said, a subscriber reached out. That works actually for the coal plant that the last stop in Virginia was. And I had spoken to someone else in that region. Actually, I spoke to DJ earlier too, and he said there's a helipad out there somewhere as well. There's drones flying overhead. We talked about the possible hunt of this mother-child Dogman. He said, what if this government kill team came in and, shot the pup, and the mother was running with it. A government drone flies ahead or over. The shooter is chasing after the female Dogman, the drone. As he's chasing through the woods or whatever, he's radioing in, and whoever is on the other end of the radio is in a vehicle on 638 and cuts that Dogman off. This is just a theory that he and I came up with. But I don't have any other better ones. It's evident that the pup was not shot there. It was shot at a different location. And we know they're using drones to quote unquote locate citizens who have fallen victim to these flash floods and stuff. And I don't know. It's kind of messed up to think about, Yeah, these things are evil, they're mean, they attack humans, they I don't even got any more to say it, but like for him, so you've got this apex predator, and then you've got this apex predator that actually shows compassion and emotion. And like I said, we've heard that from Luke. I heard that just the other night from the woman from South Dakota. They have a memory and a compassion to them that does make them, or gives them a more human characteristic. Now, when I spoke to DJ after Steve and I had hung up, DJ hadn't heard the upload yet, and I proceeded to tell him a little bit about what was going on and this and that, and he said, wow, Jeff, I hope it's not the one that was behind my house. He said, because she was beautiful. And yeah, who knows if it was or wasn't. He DJ doesn't think it was, but it could have easily been, it really could have easily been. So DJ and I had talked a little bit about the mom and pup behind his house. Pretty upset about it, thinking that it might have been. It could be, it's, but yet, we know they're nomadic. Hopefully it's not, but he's not had any kind of sighting or any kind of behavioral issues or whatever you want to call it in that area from them in a while. About a month. And then I brought up the fact of Victor. And I know there's people out there who still doubt what Victor says, or said, excuse me. But I don't. I really will stand by, what he said to us. And he could have been lying about stuff. But I believe the majority of what he said was the truth. Almost like a soft disclosure. And just to kind of maybe make up little kind of things to kind of steer us off the real path, even though it's hard to imagine him doing that. He's was a government agent and had to follow protocol. So, if they said, hey, give the audience and the people, a little truth, 40-60. 40 truth, 60 whatever, the government. And all right, here's what I'm thinking. Okay. Victor was here and gave us some information, a soft disclosure. Did he tell us 100% the truth? No, I don't believe he did. And he also never told us where this underground base was. Now, some may think, hey, it's Fed building, might be up with the other Fed buildings, but that doesn't make sense because you could have people would be able to see the Dogman coming in and out, So where else to do it but a small section of Virginia where there's coal mines existing already, underground coal mines, and you can then build a base. Nobody will know. Nobody will be the wiser. Because why? Well, poverty. You've got addiction running wild through it. And if anyone asks questions, you can kind of really, just ruin their credibility very quickly. So these dogmen come in and they're getting euthanized. But the big issue is as these chipped dogmen are coming in, they're coming in with other dogmen that are not chipped, watching their friends, die, whatever. They, do the same, get really upset, and they start messing up with Tazewell, Buchanan County, Mercer County, the people, eight people, 6 disappearances, whatever, as like kind of a payback, or just because they're that mad. The government gets aware of it. We got to do something. Possibly use the weather as a weapon to guide these creatures to a certain location. Of course, human life or whatever is out of the question at this point. They don't care. They just want to get rid of the issue. And so they use these weather patterns. They use a kill team to come in, and that is what I feel happened. And I feel like it's going to continue for a couple more months until they can get a handle of everything and quietly back out, quietly seal off that mine with the program underneath it, or keep it going. Who knows? All I know, is it's a crazy, crazy situation. And my throat was killing me. There's no way of figuring it out. But this is my theory, and it's only a theory. And take it how you want. So, with that, my friends, may the Great Spirit watch over us all. May He guide us down that path that we call life. please be safe, and thank you for all your support. And just be really vigilant when you're out in the woods lately. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a good night.